Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. I'm quite happy to see so many familiar faces, so many new faces, and just wanted to thank everybody for turning out for the opening presentation on the Chevron Direct Investment Fund Limited. I'm going to have just some quick opening remarks on kind of our special guests that we have here to speak with us, but also you're going to hear a lot today about partnership. And there is no bigger partner for Chevron than the Republic of Kazakhstan and the Ministry of Energy. So one of our guest speakers or opening remarks, I guess not, will be made by Janat Jakhmetova, the Vice Minister of the Ministry of Energy. One thing I can say is that just touching on partnership is thinking about how the fund itself actually came together. And over the last year, there was a lot of back and forth between the ministry and Chevron on the best way to bring this together. And so there was a lot of discussions. And Janat was leading it from the ministry side. And the one thing that I realized from the start until the very finish was her team, herself, everybody within the ministry was so focused and making sure that every decision that was made was the right decision for Kazakhstan. And so there was open, transparent, there was nothing that wasn't discussed. It was all, this is what's the right thing for Kazakhstan. And so I do think we've come to the right solution, the right mechanism to do these investments. And I would like to commend Janat and her team and everybody in the ministry for all of their collaboration with us to do that. Additionally, we have James Martin, who, again, talking about partnership, you know, some of this was conceptual, having a private equity-like vehicle for these investments. And James has tons of experience with previous in various markets with the NASDAQ. But when he's been here as the Chief Investment Officer of the Astana International Financial Center, he was there to help us take concept and make it reality. So he gave us a lot of great ideas. He's been there pre-establishment. He's been there post-establishment. He's still giving us great ideas on how to generate sourcing of projects and so forth. So I want to thank James for being here as well. And then at the end is also another esteemed colleague of mine. It's Janar Gilimova. She, without her tireless efforts and her team's tireless efforts, working with the ministry, with Janat directly, Janar is quite responsible for this coming to life. And so as our fund director, I would like to thank her as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Janat Jakhmetova to make a couple of remarks, then we'll go from there. So thank you. Thank you all for being here.
Қайырлы күн, құрметті форумға қатысушылар. В первую очередь, позвольте поблагодарить за такие теплые слова от Демиана и на самом деле поблагодарить команду Шеврона.
I would like to thank the Chevron team for the organization of this event and for that work that they've done during that year and 6 months. Actually, we've been working on this project for all this time, and I am very grateful to them for the work that they've done. Today, we are going to talk about the objectives that the president sent, about the need to develop. In general, in the industry, producers should localize their products, and in 2021, that was only 24%, and the service market currently is the driver of the economic growth. And in this regard, the local entrepreneurs talking about business opening also note lack of financial resources. And considering these facts, we united our efforts with Chevron, and we provide that accessible financing for entrepreneurs and decided to create a fund for that. In 2021, on October 11th, we made this decision, and currently the fund balance is $248 million US, and from October 29th, you are now able to apply at cdif.kz. And through this platform, you can actually look at the criteria of eligibility and you can apply. We also accept applications openly and transparently. The major objective of the website creation was to provide information at each stage, and your application is traceable at every stage. There are open criteria for investment projects, and Chevron shares its experience so that we could improve Kazakhstan capacities, Kazakhstan business capacity. Representatives of Chevron are here with us, and he will talk in more details about this. I would like to thank all the forum participants. We are ready for your proposals. We are ready for your questions. That's why today we're going to have about 2 hours for this discussion. Thank you.
To just make a couple of remarks as well. So.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James. You may have seen me on a few other panels. I'm the Chief Investment Officer here at the AIFC. I would like to say a few words just to put the seismic importance of this project in place. So, I mean, we in Kazakhstan are facing, difficult times. It's all about sustainability and diversification. Sustainability not only of our financial infrastructure, but also of our human capital. It's about developing our markets. We all talk all the time about diversification away from sectors, but we also have to think about diversification away from the jobs that our people have, the job changes that people will make, the re-education, our logistics routes. It's sustainability across the board. And that, I have to say, is what this Chevron investment vehicle, the fund, is all about. It's diversification. It's a company that has been here from the very start, perhaps the largest investor into Kazakhstan, one of its greatest promoters internationally. And let me just put it from my own personal perspective. When we all change careers, I've gone through fund management, banking, and into the working for this government here in this special place, the AFC. And it's quite a change you have to make in your mentality. So you all should really try and appreciate the changes that Chevron have had to make together with the Ministry of Energy around how can we adapt this fund to make it implementable, to make it practical, about job creation, about sustainability. Chevron are making great moves across the world on ESG, but they want to prove it here where they've been such a large part of the Kazakh family. So I also want to make a special thanks around the flexibility. I have to say that Janar and her team have put in immense times working together not only with the ministry here, but also with international partners in order to understand what would people like to see in such a fund. Because hopefully many more of you will join by creating other funds. And that's the important bit. This is setting a precedent. Initially, it is Chevron investing their own time, their own money, but in the future, we hope that there will be other partners who may join this or other such funds. What we've laid out is that Chevron have chosen an international partner who can help them with regards to analysis and feasibility of these projects. What I have to say from my own experiences in this fund management and creating projects is it is quite a simple process on paper, but it requires a lot of time and patience. These 3 verticals, I'm sure they will talk about now: diversification into green, into information technologies. Manufacturing is all about job creation. It's all about reusing what we have. So we would like to thank you on behalf of AIFC for choosing us as the venue. Again, it's about flexibility, understanding what you want as a client and what our country needs for our investment in future. So thank you very much to Chevron and the Ministry. Thank you.
Thank you, James. So let me introduce myself real quickly. My name is Damon Thornburg. I am the General Manager of Finance for Chevron's Eurasia Business Unit. I also have oversight over the Chevron Direct Investment Fund Limited. And so I'm here to present what the fund is, what it isn't, and to be able to, at the end, take maybe 10, 15 minutes of questions and try to make sure we're all on the same page when we go forward. So anyhow, we're quite excited to be here, and so I'll go ahead and kick off the presentation. So, like I said at the beginning, this presentation is going to be a lot about partnership. But what I want you to do is take a look at the picture, take some time to think about that. So I think most of you probably, or many of you here, know that that's TCO, Tengiz. And if you think about that, that's modern day. And so what I want you to think about is go back nearly 30 years to 1993. You can even go back farther if you like. You can go back to 1979 if you want, when the oil field was actually discovered. Tengiz, the field itself, is huge. It's the biggest known on the planet. It's also very complex. It's 12,000 feet deep, high pressure, and a lot of hydrogen sulfide. So not an easy task to develop this. So then go back to 1993. After a lot of negotiations, a lot of discussions on what the best way to approach this would be, Chevron and the Republic of Kazakhstan started this partnership. That's the beginning for us. Chevron here was this partnership. Now, if you think about what's happened since that brought us to this picture, we're now producing, in the last few years, about 80,000 tons per day, actually more. We've got a big expansion project that's getting close to completion. That'll take that up over 100,000 tons per day. And none of that would have been possible without this partnership. And so I know at Chevron we have great pride in this collaboration with the Republic of Kazakhstan, but also with the Ministry of Energy. They've been tremendous in helping us as well. So this is an example of where Chevron has their partnerships within Kazakhstan. I think the thing that I take from this is that you've got TCO, you've got Karachaganak, and you've got CPC. And the alignment between Chevron and Kazakhstan is clear. KMG is a partner in all three of those projects. And all of those projects have led to tremendous things for the Republic, but for the companies and the partners involved as well. And so it has been quite a journey. So, talking about what it has meant from Chevron's investment into Kazakhstan. As the largest foreign investor, we can go back and we can just take a look at the last 10 years of what the social impact, what the economic impact has been. It's quite dramatic. If you just look at GDP itself, in the last 10 years, our activities have helped fuel 6.3% of the GDP, about $11.7 billion of output within Kazakhstan per year. And then you take another look at what it's meant for the businesses. I mean, you drill down a little bit further. In those 10 years, we have spent, or directly or indirectly, $28 billion to Kazakhstani companies. And so we have been doing everything we can to continue to grow and help with the Kazakhstani economy. On top of that, we have in the last 10 years, paid in $43 billion in taxes and royalties, which helps fund about 15% of the Republic's income into the budget. And so I think from a big macro perspective, this partnership has been quite successful and has done quite a lot of good things. And so you can think about this from the economy perspective or from the government perspective. But I suggest you can also think about it from the individual perspective. If you take a close look at this, it's about job creation. For every Chevron or TCO job or jobs that we're a part of, for every one of those, we've calculated that 29 other jobs are created in support of the industry, in support of those things. And so it has had a dramatic effect. It has brought jobs to people that need them and has grown the economy. On top of that, if you take a look, in the last 10 years, we've spent $276 million on social funds, on social projects, touching on all sorts of things: education, healthcare, training, helping entrepreneurs. 300 projects, over 300 projects. 30 NGOs that we've collaborated with. And the thing is that Chevron's going to continue to do this. As long as Chevron's here, Chevron's going to continue to do this. And so we do spend a lot on social funds. And I think that needs to be thought of as we move into the next thing. Because I'm ready to start talking about the Chevron Direct Investment Fund Limited now. It's not a social fund. It's a commercial fund. And so that's part of what I'm here to do, is to share some of the information around what the fund is and what it's meant to do. So in October, working with Janat and her team, we finally reached the conclusion. There was a signing of a memorandum of understanding, and that has helped the Chevron and the Republic establish the Chevron Direct Investment Fund Limited. We tend to call it CDIF at Chevron just because it's easier. The other part's kind of a mouthful. And so CDIF has $248.5 million. And I know that there's been a lot in the press about what it is and what it isn't. And so let's clear up some of this stuff. There's three things that I really want you to take away from this today. Is one, it has to be local. It needs to be in Kazakhstan for Kazakhstan. Two, this is very important. It needs to be profitable. These projects need to be profitable. And so three, the other part that I think probably I need to make sure everybody walks away from an understanding here is that Chevron has only taken a minority position in these companies. And so 49% will be the max of what we invest. So we're looking from an equity side, that 49% or less, whatever it turns out to be, whichever projects that we work on, are anywhere ticket size 2 million to 30 million. So the project itself is probably going to be 5 million, 60 million, 100 million. And so I think what people need to understand is we're looking for sizable investments. We're looking for things that have progressed. It's not just an idea. You're bringing 51% at least of equity to the table as you come in, or you have it structured, you know where it's going to come from. And so that's kind of the starting point, and to make sure that that's where we're at. And I think that there has been some misunderstanding around that. Now what I'm going to do is turn this over to Janar, who has done a great job on bringing this together, like from a detailed perspective. She'll be able to share more information from that side, and also the investment process itself. And then when she's done, I'm going to go ahead and come back and take some questions and answers, wrap up, and like I said, we're quite excited about this. So we'll turn it over to Janar, and thanks.
Қымбатты қонақтар, құрметті әріптестер, біріншіден уақыттарыңызды бөліп, бүгін бізге келгендеріңізге үлкен рахмет. Бұл үшін бұл тұсаукесер кеші бізге өте маңызды. Шынымен деп те бірінші рет біз бүгін қоғамдық келбетін жасап жатырмыз. Сондықтан сіздердің қолдап, келіп, назарларыңызға, сұрақтарыңызға алдын ала рахмет айтқымыз келеді. Рұқсат болса, мен презентациямды орыс тілінде айта берейін. Бүкіл слайдтар ағылшын және қазақ.
Colleagues, we will present our slides in English, but I'll be talking in Kazakh. For us, this event is very important. Actually, it is our first public presentation on behalf of already established company, Chevron Direct Investment Fund, and for us it is especially important to have your involvement, participation and attention, and especially your questions, as this event is meant for you, for the persons who are willing to participate in cooperation with company. While preparing to this event, we have sent out more than 180 invitation letters, and I am very happy that many who has been invited are present here. The invitees include representatives of governmental institutions, local governance officers, business associations, banks, and funds. For everyone will find a place for cooperation. And by the end of this presentation, I would like everyone who are present here be able to respond to 3 questions. The first one, what is Chevron Direct Investment Fund Limited? What is the company's investment mandate? And how to submit an application? And what are the key milestones you have to cover to gain funding from the company? And if, until you have any questions, I'll start. As Damon mentioned, Chevron Direct Investment Fund is a private company registered at IFSC. The company has perceived the key principles of FDI. We have 3 main elements. First of all, selection of domiciliate. We are located and registered at Astana International Financial Center. It's one of promoted platforms in Kazakhstan for such kind of investment activities. The second aspect is a managing company. We have attracted licensed professional companies that will ensure and manage portfolio of investments where Chevron will invest on funds. And the last item, maybe the most important one, is the committees that ensure transparency and objectiveness while making all investment decisions, as well as the decision to withdraw from the project. It is very important, as Janat mentioned in her speech. The Minister of Energy, as well as Chevron, spent more than 1.5 years while discussing the mechanism of transparency of this foundation. And as Janat mentioned, that resulted in creation of such elements as a website where everyone, irrespectively of location, may submit an application, and the authorities that we have provided to the fund. The company, as I have already mentioned, has also an investment mandate where we are going to work. And today I would like to cover investment mandate. What are the financial instruments that are available in the fund? Only share equity. Chevron, through its portfolio company, will get into Astana International National Sector through the project it selects. And Chevron prefers to be a minority in the project. We are not going to be an operator of investment portfolio, will be a minority shareholder, and we will select that we will have the share up to 49%, and we will ensure that we will not manage. And 49% is defined percentage is defined with the risk taken by investor and the person who has come with their own business to the fund. And it's also very important to have a location. The company should be located at Kazakhstan, and the key areas of investments that it is going to request from the fund should be implemented in Kazakhstan, and this is especially important, and I explain why. During 6 months, we have seen different cases, and I would like to pay special attention to this aspect. And also would like to share about the industry. First of all, I believe that you understand that not everyone strives to diversify the economy, and we are not an exclusion. But after past surveys, we made a conclusion that three regions are the regions that we would like to identify and target. First of all, the most important and the closest to us, we are talking about oil servicing companies, and this is what we understand, this is what we are dealing every day. And the second one is information digital technologies that are also very important. And I don't think that you are doubt that this is a key focus in the policy of the economy diversification environment protection. For the moment, this forum is held under the aegis of sustainability growth, and so the projects on environment protection will also gain priority attention. And I also would like to note that as now we are observing the increased pressure on diversification of the economy, we are going not to stop with three opportunities sectors. We would like to also consider the opportunities in other sectors. We have identified these sectors, and we are saying that we are considering all the sectors nowadays, and while still we have our own priorities, and the practice is proof, and we are thankful. We receive a lot of applications from different sectors and industries in Kazakhstan. It is especially important to talk about the selection criteria, as Damon mentioned. Profitability of the project is very important because it's not a social but commercial fund. This is a fund established on direct investments, so CDIF will seek for investments into the project company which are profitable or have clear path to profitability. Because of that, I would like to stress that we are considering both green and brownfield projects. All the projects, both new and the ones that are expanding its existing manufacturing, should have the focus of attractive economy and profitability, and solid estimations confirming this focus. As our managing company and we CDIF will check what is the suggestion and your business plans. Sorry, and I will repeat it. The company should be based at Kazakhstan. CDIF may invest only in the companies registered in Kazakhstan. So if they may pay taxes, they will pay taxes in Kazakhstan. The use of funds should be also used for development of new projects in Kazakhstan or for expansion of existing business operating in the territory of this country. And the third one, and maybe the most important provision for us, is a multiplication effect that we may gain from implementation of this project. How many jobs will be created? How the company plans to train and educate people? Do we have import substitution or maybe some new types of taxes that will be paid by the project where CDIF has invested? It is critically important both for Chevron and the Minister of Energy of Kazakhstan representing the country. During this forum, we were talking a lot about ESG, and it will be one of the criteria while considering projects.
Останавливаться, я уверена.
And I will not talk in detail about this now because that was discussed at other panel discussions. These are all the projects that we invest. They should give a positive impact on environment and social society. And the ESG principle should be used in the company that Chevron will invest in. That's very important. Financial and non-financial risks. These are the issues we are focused on as well. CDIF viewing many of these aspects, and that's why it's very important when we do financial or economic analysis to include also different financial and non-financial indicators. This is profitability, solvency. Non-financial risks include all legal, market, environmental risks that we are going to assess as well when we will do our deep due diligence. All the risks are project specific. So we cannot say that here is the list of risks that you should consider. But what is important, especially for those companies that are going to apply for funding, this is the filling in the questionnaire. The more information you provide to us, the more we have chance to objectively view your application and assess the risks of your company. And the last thing I would like to say, what is important for Chevron and for the ministry, is the diversification of the portfolio. Well, actually, we have diversified industry, and similar projects won't receive the funding in the industries that are already diversified. So we would like to enlarge our portfolio, minimize investor risks, and make the multiplier effect big for the economy. For those people who represent development banks or financial development institutions, this is all quite known. This is the standard package of criteria that we are using. What we would like to draw your attention to is that we would like to receive the applications from all kinds of people. So this should be easily accessible. All applications can be provided from our website, and you will see our leaflets, and you can see all the information. All the frequently asked questions are asked at the website, and all the issues, questions that still may remain, you can get the answers at our website. In the recent 6 months, we have received more than 100 applications after we opened the fund. And there are some frequent mistakes that I would like to talk about today so that you consider this and not make this mistake if you would like to get funding from us. The first of all, most important is to check the data. This project, is it eligible? Is it meeting the investment mandate? Minority investor, it means that at least 51% should come from somewhere else. That should be your equity or should be bank funding. Second, profitability. Very often we have project applications that are not profitable or completely social in nature. So we would like to underline this, that it is important that the project should be feasible. It's not like purely social. Then we receive applications for less than $1 million funding. And that's also outside of our mandate. Our mandate is to fund projects from $2 million to $30 million. It is also important to provide all the documents. We have updated our website recently. From December last year, we updated it twice. We have updated the information and also the questionnaire. You need to fill in the questionnaire. There are 60 questions. We request the applicants to provide comprehensive responses. This is important for us because only like this we can ensure objective, transparent consideration of your application. Also, as I said, it is important not just 49% to receive from Chevron. You need also to think about where to get the remaining 51% of funding if it's not your equity. The recommendations that we would like to give now is to clearly look the criteria on our website. Please see the frequently asked questions on our website. You can also send a direct question to us, and our colleagues will contact you and ask and answer your questions if you have any before applying. This will help you to first to do the self-assessment of your project before you apply. And if you provide comprehensive information to us, that will expedite the consideration of your project. I will stop on this, and I think you got your answers. What is the fund about, what instruments it uses, how to apply, and what documents are needed. Now let's go through the decision-making process. Decision-making process, as I said, we have spent the 1.5 years to consider the process. We have consulted with experts, not only from the government, but also from Chevron, from different countries. We have worked with consultants. We wanted the fund to function as transparently as possible and all the decisions be objective. At this time, I would like to give you in detail those 6 steps that applicants need to go through. First, your application. As I said, we have a website, and you'll need to apply for funding through our website. Please read all the information in detail, especially read the page with frequently asked questions and the process of decision-making. Second, after the companies applied for funding, CDIF is considering it and checking whether it meets the criteria. This is the primary project evaluation. It includes the questions whether you are eligible for our mandate, whether your documents are sufficient, whether they are proven, what is your project status, and what would be, how will be the remaining capital covered, 51% of funding. If you passed all these criteria, the initial evaluation, if you passed, we have a meeting of Observation Council. There are 2 participants. First is Chevron, and the second is the representative of Ministry of Energy. And together they make a decision. Is it strategically important to invest into this project? What would be the multiplier effect of this project? It's important also to note that our council meets every quarter. Every 4 months, applicants will get the answer. So we are at the beginning, but we plan to quickly consider the projects and quickly issue the response. After we issue the recommendation whether a Chevron fund should further consider this project for investment, so we make a short list of projects and start deep due diligence. This is a financial analysis and deep analysis of tax consequences. The team also will consider how to structure the transaction in the right way. This is the most painstaking work that we are going to do in this process of decision-making, and that will take quite a lot of energy and time. After your project passed the Observation Council, at this time you will be contacted by representatives of CDIF to hold some detailed interviews about your project, to understand your project and evaluate all the risks of the projects, pros and cons of the project. After we have finalized the evaluation, we make a meeting of the investment committee of Chevron. And here we make a decision, invest in the project or not, in what amount or not, and whether the deal that was structured, is it considered appropriate. So that is an important decision. That is actually the investment decision made by CDIF. And if this was all successful, the decision was made by Chevron, the contract will be signed, agreement on partnership, and funding will be allotted. The applicant will get the funding. What is very important, and I would like to stress that all the decisions are made collectively. We are doing our best to be transparent and to be objective. This is our work, to ensure the process, to ensure enabling environment when the applicant would be able to apply and fully unleash the capacity of the project. And we need the help from applicant as well. We need the applicant to provide full information. And as soon as you view the requirements and apply, we need your full cooperation. During the 6 months, it's actually a short time. We at the very beginning, but we already understand that the first year will be the test year, and we would like to improve our procedures. That's why we request you, apart from the application, we would like the applicants also to share your feedback with us, because the longer we wait for the documents, the longer time it takes for consideration. And it's very important for us to ensure the pipeline of projects. That's the main part of my presentation, and actually the main information that we wanted to share today. If any of my colleagues have anything to add, I think it's now the right time to do that before I give floor to Damon. Any comments from yourself? No, no comments. Okay. I would like to give floor now to Damon, my colleague, and we'll get to the interactive part of the event. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your support. Thank you for finding time in your busy schedule to come here. We are always open to the dialogue. You can always send us an email or talk to us after this event. We'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janar. So I think it's pretty clear that we've put a lot of thought into this, and there's a lot that had to happen and a lot that needed to be agreed to with the ministry, within Chevron, to try to bring this all together. And so now it is together. It's now kind of reflecting back on this partnership thing. We've had a lot of success here between the Republic of Kazakhstan and Chevron. And so what we're looking for now is further partnerships. We're looking for people to bring us projects, submit, and hopefully they meet the criteria, and hopefully the ministry is happy with them, and then there's an opportunity. Because James touched on it. The whole idea is to diversify. Like, we need more opportunities. We need to grow jobs. And so that's the intent of this fund, because I go back to my three things: local, here in Kazakhstan, profitable, because profitable means it's got to be sustainable, long-term jobs, sustainable jobs. And then it's going to be Chevron only as a minority equity holder. And so I think those are the keys. I know Janar touched on a lot more of the specifics, but from the big takeaways, I would say those three things: local, profitable, and Chevron's going to be minority. And we will go through the process. It's a very transparent, detailed process. You'll see it on the website. Go to the website, look at it. If you have questions, contact us. We're more than happy. And so I just want to thank everybody for coming here. Clearly there's some interest, which is exciting for us. And I think we'll now open it up for Q&A and for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and we'll kind of go from there. So go ahead and start there. Thank you.
The mics are in the hall, and the people in the white shirt, they haven't. So
maybe should I just do it from?
Hello, thank you for good presentation. It's actually excited that oil super major thinking about diversifying and investing in other things. Because I used to work for BP, and I know how hard it is for the big company to take these decisions. But my question is like, I still think that your approach is conservative. Like your process wouldn't fit like, for example, investments into digital assets, to decentralized finance, projects, and also like you might meet this negative selection because you're getting applications and then you consider applications, but top projects never do applications. There are like bunch of VC who is standing in line to invest. So would you consider like changing your processes for GameFi, metaverse projects, for even investing in Bitcoin like MicroStrategy did? So what do you think about this?
Well, first, I'd like to thank you for the question. That's, I know there is a large universe of things that we could invest in. There is a focus, though, on this fund. Manufacturing works and services, digital and information technology, environmental stewardship. But we do have a fourth option. We're not closing anything out, but it has to make sense. And I think the driver here is diversifying the economy, and I understand what you're saying, but also we want to create jobs, lots of jobs is really behind this. We'd like to create a lot of jobs. And so we're thinking in that mindset. So it doesn't preclude you to submit your ideas. It's just where we're focused is really on job creation, making sure that long-term these are profitable businesses that are going to generate tax revenues for the Republic. And so that's really kind of where we're at. But I mean, I welcome you to submit if it makes sense. But we're not trying to exclude anything. But we're trying to be clear what the focus may be. So thank you.
I want to support that as the ministry side. So you're absolutely right. We're not limiting any areas. We're trying to diversify. And the other thing that you said, that the project should come from the queuing in the venture enterprises. They could also submit their documents. But the main point that we made here, that everyone should come through the portal. So this is some kind of obligation that Chevron has, and we want it to have for everyone. That's why we're creating this portal.
Just to let you know that currently, like all big banks, like Goldman Sachs or others, they fight for like assets that left from like 3 Arrow Capital, for example, like billions of dollars sold for hundreds of millions. So with your 250 million, you can maybe in 2 years, like Bitcoin will go back, right, at some point. So all these altcoins will go 10 times, 20 times. So think about that, like 250 million, you can make 25 billion next cycle.
And again, like I thank you for your comment. I think the issue, though, is that we really are focused on job creation. I think
maybe jobs will be replaced by robots, right?
Let's hope not. So I appreciate your comment, but I mean, we really are focused on job creation. So.
Good day, everyone.
Sorry.
Just maybe a quick question. First of all, thank you for a good presentation for all participants. And secondly, compliments to Chevron. Very good job done since '93. And you're continuing doing so. I'm one of the potential participants, applicants. And my question is, what is time frame for average, maybe, for consideration of applications?
So we do have a process where we bring in projects every quarter. I mean, it's a constant feeding of the of the web portal. We screen those projects for the criteria that Janar described. And then what will happen is that a certain portion that make the most sense, that seem the most commercial and fit the criteria, will be sent to the advisory board. And so this will happen as a quarter. So you could think of that section taking 3 months from start to finish. And then if it passes the advisory board, then it starts the deeper due diligence. Now there is some due diligence that does occur in those 3 months, but then you go into the deeper diligence, and then it actually really depends on the complexity of the project itself. Like if it's a complex.
Any average? Maybe
well, I mean,
100
we've.
considered.
I think the issue is more. I think the experience that we've had here, and why this is so important, this session is so important. Some of the experiences that we've had up until now is that the web portal's up and going. People are submitting, but we're finding that some of the applications are incomplete. We have to go back and ask for information. Sometimes we never get that information, and so there could be applicants that are frustrated, they haven't heard, but maybe we've tried to reach out and get more information and we haven't gotten it from that perspective. So it just fired up in January. The other part is that once you get past the advisory board, if you get past the advisory board, it kicks off a deeper due diligence process. And it's really going to depend on the complexity of the project itself. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And maybe quick second question. Thank you. Out of 100 already applied, any potential, I mean, but maybe percentage-wise, any potential defined projects?
We have projects. So I think it's something that the ministry and Chevron need to coordinate together what was disclosed, but there is positive movement. Like, I think people should be encouraged from that perspective. And it's, again, after you get past the advisory board, which is where Chevron and the Republic of Kazakhstan through the Ministry of Energy work together to select what look to be the promising projects. Then it takes.
And the final question.
Your final question.
On my side, is this figure 248 will increase, or it's just final and
that's the figure right now, and
figure
so
right now, but every year would it be limit? Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, thank you.
So actually, I think Janat
Давайте я на
might
русском
to add something to
этот
this.
I would like to make several comments in Russian on your questions. If you have urgent projects that require decision now, we have a special mechanism for advisory council. We call it ad hoc meetings, and if you are eligible for that, you should have shown in your project that it's time sensitive, and it means we have an opportunity to have irregular advisory meetings. In terms of time frames, it may take from 6 months to 1 year. And if you're saying that your project is time sensitive, that you have a signed investor prepared to invest, but everything should be confirmed and Chevron would do its due diligence, we have also to have a chance of advisory council. And the third aspect with regard of consideration of the project, we said that we consider projects every quarter. If we received 10%, you see, we got 2 packages for the first quarter and for the second quarter. We will support projects, but we would not like to disclose this information. It will not impact on your application process. As soon as we discuss it in Chevron, we'll place this information on the website. I would like to make a comment on.
My name is Quinton. I'm an analyst with Prism Consultancy in London. Very clear that this is a design for local businesses. You guys are taking a minority stake. Are there opportunities for foreign investors to also take a minority stake in these projects?
I mean, the answer to that is yes. I mean, but the entity needs to be established in Kazakhstan, and the intent is to create jobs in Kazakhstan. So.
Да, добрый день, поздравляю за
Good afternoon. Thank you with the launch of your foundation fund. It's a significant demand for the entire market. I'm Pavel Kokdyshev, Director General of TCAP IAFC. We're developing technological platform and AIFC, including VC markets. Two questions. One is is very technical. I'm not talking about particular industry or technology. The first speaker who asked question was mentioning about mechanisms, to which extent they can be changing in the process. Today you are carried out through the portals, through the process, as you have described it. But we understand that there are the professional participants of the markets, funds that would like to have co-investments together with you. You have more permanent communications at the level of investment strategies and interaction. How this process may be changed and how you plan in parallel, being a big fish in our sea, how you plan to develop investment market, as with your size you really impact this market, even though if you are focusing only on projects, then in some sense the chain that is being constructed nowadays, this chain may somehow change with your active appearance. And practical questions: do you plan to participate in a form of LP in other funds, maybe thematic funds, maybe digital tomorrow will turn to this format because they will hardly coexist with industry, with plants and so on?
So there was a lot there. Let me see if I can address. I mean, I think part of what's here is that we've established the fund. We've created a process, a mechanism that is just starting. I think on some level we have to allow the mechanism to work for a while, and before we're already trying to make changes to it. So I think, you know, what's happening right now, I mean, this is the first, I mean, this is for us our opening presentation, right? Is to make sure that everybody understands kind of what we are, what we're looking for. And so I think part of it is we have applications that have started but haven't been completed. So I think, you know, if there are people here that haven't heard something, you might want to check to make sure your application's been complete. We may have been trying to reach out to you. So it's part of the process is working it out. I take your point that there may be a better way, but you have to also, I think, reflect that you're taking a multinational corporation, you're taking a government, and you're trying to create a private equity-like vehicle that the intent is to create jobs, add value, diversify the economy. So I think it's a very positive thing. It may, you know, it's not going to look exactly like your typical LP-GP structure that you would see in a regular private equity fund. And so I think there is some be some understanding around that piece. And you know, as the process goes, I mean, obviously, I think Chevron has a history of improving processes over time. And so I think that this will be no exception. So, but we got to let it work for a while.
Thank you. My question about IT, and I want to ask, you said that company has to be profitable, yes? But IT startups, they earn money, but we do anything for growth, and our unit economics not so positive because we reinvest our money, and if you said that we have to be profitable,
right,
and how it will be for us, I mean, for IT startups.
So great question. And I think when I talk about profitability, we're talking about your long-term profitability. We understand that startups, there's a period where you're pumping capital in and maybe not getting anything in return, and what you are getting in return, you're just pumping it back in. So that's understood. But in your detailed business plan, in your models, there needs to be an understanding that there is, at some point in time, this business is going to be profitable and generating cash flows. Because like at the end of the day, if it doesn't, if there isn't the end in sight where money comes back, then it's not sustainable. And those jobs that are being created at that point in time won't be sustained. So.
Okay, thank you. You know, for
Sorry.
yes. About valuation. I mean, startup has changed his valuation. Can we change our apply?
Are you asking if you can change your application if you have better information?
Yep. I mean, if you make decision 1 year for startups, it's a long.
Okay, so let me just make sure I understand the question. Is the question, if your application's rejected, can you reapply it at another point in time? Is that the question?
No.
Okay. Do you think you understand? Like.
Once again.
А можно я отвечу? Damon, can I answer?
Let me respond. The response is yes. It's cool.
Good afternoon. My name is Miras Moldabayev. I'm Chief Investment Officer at the BV Management, a private equity management company. My question is regarding the monitoring stage. In terms of monitoring, how are you going to monitor finance the project that you have already financed? Are you going to consider some general partner companies, or how it will be going?
So Chevron does have an investment advisor to assist in this, and they will be helping Chevron monitor. But you got to understand that the Chevron Direct Investment Fund is essentially, it's a private company. And so we do have an investment advisor that will be helping us monitor, but Chevron will also be monitoring. And so that piece will also be there.
Здравствуйте.
Good afternoon, Association Cat Service, Niyaz Jumat. The question is, Chevron is also a participant of several corporations, social corporations in Kazakhstan. Such companies as NCOC, TCO have their share of 70% of all procurements of works and services and goods in petroleum industry. What would be your attitude to the projects where targeted client is a Tengiz Chevroil? The projects where Chevron simultaneously is both investor and a potential client.
Question, and my response would be is that Chevron and TCO are separate. TCO has to make its own commercial decisions. Chevron, in this particular instance, has to make its own commercial decisions, and there is a separation. Chevron does not have the ability to tell TCO what to do, and so when one of these projects come in, if they're assuming that Chevron's going to get them in the door to TCO, that's a bad assumption. And so I think the assumption needs to be this is a sustainable project. Doesn't mean you can't have business with TCO, but you're going to have to be the one that generates that business, because Chevron's not opening that door for you necessarily. Okay, and so that there is a separation there, and that needs to be clear. So.
Can I ask a question? First of all, I want to thank Chevron for local investments for decades. And my question is, the second part of equity, could it be some assets, especially software, and how you evaluate software, or it's only about cash?
No, I mean, I think in any business, like you can bring intellectual property, you can bring what it is to the table. It has to make sense. You know, Chevron is a financial investor, right? But you can be bringing assets to the table, and that's your contribution. It just has to, like when you model it, it has to make sense from that perspective. And so just thinking about it that way. So when you submit your business plans, you need to be thinking about those. But like those, that is understood.
Hi. If there will be a good project, assuming valve assembly, whatever the manufacturing would be, whether the choice will be for the ones which is automated, number of people will be minimum, or the one which is a manual one, when the number of people to be hired there. В случае выбора проектов.
In the case of a selection of the project.
Just a second.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah. So we're looking for, at the end of the day, we're looking for something that creates sustainable jobs. So if it's a manual process that is going to be somehow automated 12 months from now, we're not looking to invest in things that are going to automatically be automated. We're looking to create sustainable jobs, profitable, competitive jobs. And so that's what we're looking for. And so the business model needs to make sense. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it needs to be profitable, right?
Добрый день.
Good afternoon. My name is Abdurrahmanova Asel, and I'm representative of artists who draw pictures with mouths and feet without using hands. So do you have any programs for socially vulnerable strata of population? May I apply my project for consideration? Thank you.
It's a great question, and I think that's a good question for this forum. Like, Chevron does a lot of social programs that help projects such as what you're describing, and we do have these here. We, in fact, have one of our representatives from Chevron here that deals with these types of projects. This particular fund is not that, but we do have funds for similar social projects that help those in need. So I would suggest that you reach out to, so Layla's right here, so you can actually talk with her at some point.
Thank you. Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. Thank you. My question to Janar. Do you have limits for profitability? In your projects?
Can I translate?
What are the minimum limits of IRR that our fund will be considering?
So and then maybe Janar can translate. It needs to make sense for the sector. There isn't a hard IRR, but there needs to be an IRR, if you get my point there. And it needs to be competitive in that sector. And so right. Right.
So, it's general profit for general sector. Starts from 85 till 25.
I mean,
It's common.
yeah, I mean,
What is minimum for you?
it'll depend on the project. It'll be project specific. I mean, the area, if it's an IT project, it might require a higher IRR versus a manufacturing project that generates a ton of jobs might have a lower IRR. And so that's, yeah. And so, I mean, it's not black and white, I guess is what I'm saying, is that it's something that.
You are looking for some limits. Start from, for example, from 5% to 30, or what is the minimum?
What is if you want to go with minimum, I would say anywhere from 5 to 10%. But like, I mean, I'm just telling you, projects that I'm seeing are higher than that right now. So that's what I'd probably say to you.
Не будем вот такие вот лимиты сюда ставить.
We will not set limits because everything depends upon projects and the area. It could be an agricultural or IT project. The projects will be different, and we should not select the minimum and then make a project for this minimum. It would be wrong. Actually, this clarification is very important for everyone, so as people understand what limits they have to show in general for economy sector. Maybe sometimes why it is possible. IRR is more or less the same, up to 30%. We would like to have an understanding. Are there any ideas for us? For instance, if Chevron requests at least 20% profitability, maybe we should not have to submit the application if our minimum profitability threshold is not fulfilled.
Более общий вопрос задать, вот в продолжение этого вопроса.
Hold on, let me answer that real quick for 1 second. I think what you need to think about is your project within that sector or within that business competitive with others? And then how's that going to stack up with some of the other projects that are being submitted? we are looking for return. We are looking for job creation. And so if it's a low returning sector that's not producing many jobs, it's permanent jobs, it's probably going to be passed upon because it is we're looking for competitive projects. And so we want competitive projects. You're happy to, as you're going through the process, to submit or reach out and test an idea with somebody within the CDIF team or the investment advisor. Like, you can test some of this, but again, it needs to be competitive. Yeah.
Мы сейчас не ставим таких лимитов.
Now we are not setting limits, and we are not going to set such limits, and we've heard you, we'll work on that. But so far, we don't have such limits set. Can we continue? My name is Kairat Balıkbayev. Chevron and Janat, I would like to thank you for creation of this fund. I'm not a crypto enthusiast as the first speaker who asked about the cryptocurrency. I'm more crypto skeptic. But actually, here people speak about that people are very much interested in funding. And in some way, they would like to be involved and apply and receive the funding. And I have a question. Do we need to repay this loan? For example, if we did not achieve the indicators that we have set. And also important question, if the project is very successful, Chevron, for what amount the Chevron is ready to sell its equity of 49%? So it's not like very conservative way for Chevron, but I would say this is a quite strategically profitable way for Chevron, not for startup. So if you answer these two questions, I would like also to comment that I lived in Atyrau in 2010, and I think everybody knows that there is a refinery, Atyrau refinery, the project that needs to be monitored, environmental monitoring. So, for example, around that refinery, this is a social project. It cannot be profitable. And Chevron is a responsible investor. It's a responsible taxpayer in Atyrau region. Can such project be passed in your fund that will help people to breathe cleaner air and to understand that environment is in good hands?
Thank you for your question. Let me kind of go through the first two first. We're not issuing any debt, so we're not like a bank. It's not that you'll repay the loan. What we're doing is we're coming in as an equity investor. So we're going to own, like if you have a company, let's just take for an example, you own a company, but you want to expand and you want Chevron to invest for that expansion, we're going to come in and we're going to say, we'll give you whatever the money is, but we're taking 49% of your business. So you're now a partner with Chevron. We go through, eventually Chevron, like you, in your example, Chevron does really well. We'll sell, like at the right time, we will sell the company for whatever the market price is for that company. And then we will have those proceeds. As for clean air and or the refinery question, I mean, Chevron, again, does a lot of social projects. That makes sense. We do also invest a lot of money in cleaner technologies. And I would invite you to go to chevron.com and go to New Energies. We are doing a lot of things around carbon capture. And in fact, just recently we signed a memorandum of understanding with KMG to explore lower carbon solutions in Kazakhstan to help clean these things. And so all of this, the industry is moving in that direction. We're investing a lot of money in finding solutions for cleaner air through carbon capture, through lower carbon hydrogen. There's a lot of things. And so my answer to that would be Chevron is doing what they can, maybe not specifically with this refinery, but there are projects out there that are trying to achieve the same goals.
Фонд коммерческий.
It's a commercial fund, so it will not fund social projects. You need to show the profitability in the project. Aset Yeshipekov.
Yes, Aset Shetekov, I thank you for presentation. I really appreciate the fact that finally we have a mammoth private equity country-specific inbound fund, and it's a great news for the country. Coming back to the investment mandates of the funds, just to clarify, will it also include investments in PPP structures, in private-public partnership structures? Just to throw you an example, a number of business groups considered establishing charger stations for e-cars. And the best way to create such infrastructure is in cooperation with the state, with municipalities in Almaty, in Astana, and other cities. And it's, of course, it's not an established business, but still, it sort of follows the mandate of ESG. Would you consider that as well?
I mean, I think these are types of projects that, yes, that would be considered. And I think what I would suggest in a project like that would be to either reach out to us, and we'll put you in contact with our investment advisor who's going to help us evaluate the project. But it's a lot of it is how is it structured, and so you know, and these are like to this gentleman's question about how fast something can happen. A project such as what you're suggesting, these are going to take time to bring together. It's not going to be 3 months kind of thing when you're trying to pull all these different entities together, and so that's why I can't give you a definitive answer on timing, but like, you know, trying to flesh out what a project like that might look like, you know, it probably is worth having a phone call or something with the right people.
Lead time is quite long.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely worth the wait.
Yep.
Thank you.
Добрый.
Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. Yerkep Koshmokampeta. I am a chairman of the Energy Committee. I have 2 questions to Damon and Janat. Damon, question to you. I understand that this is a commercial fund, but here in Kazakhstan, we have an urgent issue of ensuring our energy security. You know about Kazakhstan. We talked about construction of nuclear power plant. This is not an issue of the president, but we want to be energy secure. In Zambul Oblast, there is a Taras Regional University. From this year, they will train specialists on developing minor hydro energy. So we receive electrical energy through water. So we find like the difference in elevation, 20, 30 meters, and we will be able to produce, for example, 1 megawatt of electricity. But the university does not have money for that. So what university can do? That's the first question. Second question, Janat, question to you. For example, we understand that we are all in the same boat. From 2025, there will be carbon tax introduced, and the costs will go up. Can Chevron invest the money in Almaty and Zambul region by receiving green electricity through using water and also reduce the carbon footprint? Thank you.
Okay, so the first question on what could Chevron do to help the university is my understanding what that is. Honestly, like we collaborate with universities all the time on various things and trying to understand technologies. In fact, recently we just signed a collaboration with Nazarbayev University on lower carbon and trying to help graduates and try to guide graduates towards policy and regs and understanding what those solutions might be. And so, you know, what I would suggest, if you have something specific in mind for the university, is reach out to our corporate affairs group. We have Yurkin Zikibayev right here, and he can help kind of explore where to point you to on that. So we do have collaborations with universities. But then let me turn the next part over to Janat.
Да. Я отвечу и на первый, и на...
I will answer both questions, first and second. On the first question, it's actually a broader issue. It's not exactly this event question. And we have the collaboration of universities, and subsoil users support universities in different areas, not only TCO, but other subsoil users. For example, there is a commitment on 1% of costs of subsoil users should spend on R&D, including with universities. And now the mechanisms are reviewed, and we will automate the application. So this is one of the mechanisms how university can use that, especially on the issue of hydro energy, where a lot of research needs to be done. So we can work on that with you. And second, there's exactly such projects on hydro energy we funded in the framework of the created fund. I haven't said at the very beginning that one of the conditions is that Kazakhstan, the Ministry of Energy, actually suggests profitable projects and the Chevron invests. And we should propose profitable projects. Why we keep repeating this? Why we say that this is a commercial fund? Because we should prove the profitability, feasibility of the project. That's the major criteria that we cannot change right now. Thank you very much. My question was Chevron. Chevron invests, and there is only 4% is used out of 100%. This is the UN report information. Chevron, if it invests on R&D, on the development of modular hydro power plants, can Chevron invest in Almaty and Jambul regions? Because there is 60% of Kazakhstan hydro capacity there. So that would be green energy. And so we, for example, install solar panels and wind farms. So this is like, for example, so this is all important from other countries, all the elements, but hydropower, this is totally Kazakhstani.
From a perspective, which is what I believe you're discussing here, I mean, one of the key areas that we're focused on is environmental stewardship. So this renewables fit into that. And so, I mean, absolutely, you know, solar, wind, hydro are possibilities for investment. Again, though, they have, like, it's the profitability piece, which some of those projects, it's difficult right now, but it doesn't mean it's not. It's just make sure to put together the case to bring that forward from a business plan perspective. Yeah, go ahead.
Я предлагаю нам с вами отдельно этот вопрос обсудить.
I suggest let's discuss it separately with you, because renewable energy, we have absolutely different legislation for that, and there are tariffs. So we go through the auctions, and actually this industry is subsidized on other areas, and I don't think that should be connected to the fund. That's different. So let's discuss it separately with you. Thank you. I would like also to remind that we have just 5 minutes left. So please, if you have any questions. First of all, I would like to thank, my name is Darmin Sadvakasov, Das Capital. I would like to thank the Capital and Chevron for creating such fund. This is underinvested economy. We really have lack of venture capital, so the initiative of such size is very important. It's very needed in Kazakhstan. Really good that we have so many people here, and we need to further disseminate that information. And I think people would be standing even in line in the street. And speaking about the portfolio, we would like to understand you as Chevron as limited partner. Do you have any expectations of the profitability rate? The profitability rate of the fund, not of the projects. And what would be the average amount per company of investment? And how would you plan your sub-portfolios by areas of work? how are you going to break down your sub-portfolios within your big fund? Thank you.
Question. I'd say to that is that from a portfolio constructing perspective or asset allocation, I think Chevron's still formulating that a little bit because like understanding what the market is super important here in Kazakhstan because we are in Kazakhstan and so there isn't every sector available right now. And so we are looking at what the optimal portfolio construction would look like. So to answer your question, I don't have a specific answer right now. It's still being evaluated. You got to understand that this started in January was when the fund was turned on, and still understanding the market is part of the process. So.
And one more question. I understand that now you are still in process. One more question. So, question. So, you will develop commercially. Do you plan to fund equity in greenfield projects, those that do not generate cash flow right now, or you will view only brownfield? So these are the companies that already have cash flow.
We will consider greenfield projects. We currently are considering greenfield projects. You know, it's just you have to have a line of sight to profitability, but we'll. Yep. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. It's a question for Damon and Janat. I want to ask if CDIF is considering investing in companies that have a portfolio of startups with different kind of IRR.
We have not been approached with something like that yet. Something I would have to consider. We'd have to understand the portfolio first, but it's not something that we've considered yet. So.
But we're not saying no.
Never say no.
Yeah, thanks, James. So, assuming you're gonna be deploying venture capital into within your mandate, and given the minimum limits of 2 million, 5 million, I'm assuming it's like Series A, Series B startups. So most of the Series A, Series B startups tend to go international, and like co-founders are local, maybe entities incorporated locally, but most of the jobs will be created internationally. So how would you?
So, I mean, we definitely look at that. We look at where the jobs are being created. I mean, it doesn't mean jobs can't be created internationally, but we want to see jobs created in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, but like it's successful startup started in Kazakhstan with the founders are local guys, and they grow to, I don't know, Southeast Asia, and operation team is moving to Southeast Asia.
So, I mean, obviously it's something we would have to understand the business model and see what you're talking about, but you know, that there is an intent of the fund, and that is to create jobs in Kazakhstan, to generate tax revenues in Kazakhstan. Yeah, and Janat, go ahead.
Можно на русском отвечу.
Of course, we are looking at the projects that will create jobs in Kazakhstan, specifically in Kazakhstan. And if you come, for example, there will be 2 projects or several projects, and both projects will be profitable, but one of the projects creates jobs in Kazakhstan and the other outside of Kazakhstan. So we will support the projects creating jobs here in Kazakhstan.
So I'm going to take one more question. Really running out of time. This has been a really good dialogue, but I think we're almost out of time, actually.
Can I make 2 comments on the application? First, it says there that you upgraded on June 8th, and anyone who applied before should go back in because there were new questions. I don't know if Jana mentioned that or not in Russian. I didn't catch all the Russian. Second comment is, it says that the submissions are not confidential. There's no confidentiality agreement. And I was very surprised at that. And you guys responded to me months ago that the further due diligence would be under confidentiality, but I was still surprised that the submissions were not confidential. Could you comment on that?
It is actually it's the way that the system is set up, and I don't think I really have a specific comment around that. I understand the question. It's the way that we had to set this up, and so that piece. As far as updates to the system, Janar, would you like to? I believe that if there's more information required, all the applicants should receive notification.
Yeah, so the process as such, you're right, the web portal went through an upgrade recently, and all those questions that we haven't captured before, and if your application is still being reviewed by CDIF, you probably most likely have been contacted asking additional information or additional materials for us to review. So that's the first thing. Secondly, with regards to the NDA, as we responded to you previously, NDA will be signed at the time of the deep due diligence, where we will review more specifically and more deeper. On the first stage, you do sign a legal agreement that basically giving a consent for us to review your materials. Thank you.
So I apologize. We are going to have to end the discussion. Doesn't mean we can't. You can't contact us, and we'll answer your questions. It's there's another session that follows us, and so we just need to kind of exit the premise.
And Damon, if I can make an announcement, спасибо большое всем, кто пришел. Если
I'm thankful to all the participants. You may leave business cards at the exit. We have a box for your business cards. It could be great, and we'll definitely contact you and share materials from this session today. Thank you.
Введите QR. Если у вас есть еще вопросы, пожалуйста, можете через QR нам отправлять.
If you have questions, you can use QR and send your questions to us via QR code.